Bad Omens came onto the radar of many with Just Pretend, which took TikTok by storm, bringing a legion of new fans to their door. But what the world didn't see about the overnight success was the years of sweat, blood, and tears that Bad Omens poured into their craft. From humble beginnings as gritty tour openers to selling out their own headlining tours, Bad Omens never gave up. And when success finally came knocking, it brought with it a whole new set of challenges that threatened to derail everything they'd worked so hard for. Bad Omens is a Los Angeles-based metalcore band known for their creativity and being able to seamlessly blend heavy riffs with powerful vocals. I say metalcore band very, very loosely there. You can't really define this band at this current time. The band was formed in 2015 by singer Noah Sebastian and guitarist Nick Ruffalo. The band had a few spots here and there, but fast forward to October 26, 2016, Sumerian Records, who'd just signed Bad Omens, were holding their 10 Years in Black tour, celebrating, you guessed it, 10 years of Sumerian Records. The tour was headlined by Asking Alexandria, with the likes of I See Stars, Upon a Burning Body, and After the Burial, with the relative newcomers Bad Omens given the responsibility of opening act for the Mammoth Tour. When I say relative newcomers, Noah Sebastian, the lead vocalist and co-founder, was just 20 years old at the time. This didn't mean shit though, as the band really made their mark and set the tone for years to come. As previously mentioned, Bad Omens was formed in 2015 by singer Noah Sebastian and guitarist Nick Ruffalo. They were later joined by Joakim Karlsson and Nick Folio. The band has had some lineup changes over the years, but these are the current members. Bad Omens draws inspiration from a variety of genres, including metal, alternative rock, and post-hardcore. Their music is characterized by heavy guitar riffs, intense drumming, and emotional lyrics. To be honest, this is kind of putting them in a box, which isn't true to how they are now. It's pretty much anything and everything how they feel. Earlier in their career, they drew comparisons to one of my personal favorites, Bring Me the Horizon, who themselves really defined the genre of metalcore, and with Noah's harsh vocals being almost identical to Bring Me's frontman Ollie Sykes.
Don't ever let me be. It's like I'm sleepwalking.
In some of the singles from the self-titled album in 2016. And while the Bad Omens album from 2016 has some bangers that to this day I'd say are still praised heavily by the fans, the band, and Noah specifically, felt the songs were too safe and on the nose with regards to some of the bands people was comparing us to, and feels that by new fans listening to the older records first, they will have a preconceived notion of who the band are, which they claim could not be any further from the Bad Omens that we hear today. And it's kind of funny because this is where the Bring Me comparisons kind of come full circle, as Noah discusses how Bring Me was a big inspiration and says they are basically a whole genre of their own, while also saying if we could reach a place where we're thought of in the same way, then that would be amazing. Now, don't get it twisted though, it's a mutual respect between the two bands, with Ollie Sykes as recently as a month ago posting artificial suicide to his Instagram story. A nod to potentially the next in line, and who knows, maybe even a future collab. The band draw from many different influences, with guitarist Jolly Carlson also dabbling with creating house music too, which funnily enough can often start as the foundations of a Bad Omens track, with the rest of the boys jumping on the track and creating such a unique style, which is why it's so difficult to specifically put Bad Omens into one genre. You could argue metalcore as a whole, but there's so many tracks that just don't fit into this from the band. Bad Omens released 4 studio albums to date, which is a self-titled Bad Omens in 2016, Finding God Before God Finds Me in 2019, and then the unplugged version of that in 2020. But it's their most recent 2022 release, The Death of Peace of Mind, that was the breakthrough for Bad Omens, with 3 songs from the album already clocking well over 20 million Spotify streams alone. This was huge for the band, considering it was the first time they went balls deep with being experimental. Combine that with Just Pretend going viral weeks before their first headlining tour, and it was really the perfect storm. Bad Omens has toured extensively over the years, both in the United States and internationally. They've performed at a variety of music festivals, including Warped Tour, but one tour they famously didn't end up doing was the Misery Will Find You tour back in 2018, in which Bad Omens were supposed to be the support act for the co-headlining tour of the Amity Affliction and Senses Fail, with the latter throwing some serious shade on Twitter after Bad Omens pulled out the day after the tour was announced. This was then further provoked a year later when the Amity Affliction's Joel Birch poked fun at Noah out of nowhere, prompting a response response from the vocalist that shut down any of the bullshit rumors about the logo not being a big enough font on the poster and gave everyone an insight into the artist's struggles at the time. And this isn't the first controversy surrounding Bad Omens that's not really brought on by the band themselves. A running joke, and if I'm honest, I push the narrative on Twitter too, is that Noah and the boys are all precious babies and they must be protected at all costs. To say Bad Omens has a diehard fan base is the understatement of the year, and at times it gets borderline obsessive behavior. This is all despite Noah himself specifically stating he doesn't want to be adored, he doesn't want baby pictures shared across the internet without his consent, but the less Noah says, the more the obsessive fan base will run with it and try to fill in the blanks based on their perception of him. And this is a direct quote from Noah: "They put this weird identity on me that might be fun for them, but it isn't very accurate. I don't want someone to make me their whole life. That's not very healthy for anyone." And you don't have to look far for numerous examples of fans running with a false narrative. One fan created a fake story about seeing Bad Omens lead singer Noah holding hands with his girlfriend at a cafe. I'm not going to be a dick, so I've blurred their details as I have no idea if they're a minor or not. The fan shared the story anonymously on Facebook and then repeated it on Twitter, causing some fans to believe it and condemn harassment towards the supposed girlfriend. It suggested that the fan may have created the story to get a reaction from Noah's team and to find out if he actually has a girlfriend or not. The Bad Omens tour manager later called out the fan, who subsequently deleted their account completely. This is a perfect example of not believing everything on social media and highlights the obsessive nature of some fans towards the band. Many have asked me to speak about this, but when I was looking into it, it does seem like it revolves around a minor, so I'm not going to talk shit on a kid. But essentially, some of the quote-unquote fandom were creating fake scenarios about fans getting the boobs out to the band while they were trapped on the Shiprock tour this year, with the rumours gaining so much traction that the band had to actually tweet it out just to cut out all the bullshit. Add to this, apparently fans finding out Noah's personal address as well and leaving gifts, and it's just crossing the line. And it just doesn't stop with an unhealthy obsession with the band's personal life, as a select few seem to take the delusion to the next level, which at times can completely undermine the band's success. I think it's safe to say that some fans refuse to accept that Bad Omens is no longer a niche band. Another example of this is the recent tour selling out in seconds. Immediately, the loudest portion of the fan base was up in arms, claiming the only reason it sold out was due to scalpers and not due to the success of the band. I'm not going to go too in depth with this, mainly because this Reddit comment flamed in the replies and summed up everything I wanted to say regarding the issue. Oh, and don't even get me fucking started on the merch drops. That's a whole fucking conspiracy theory on its own. The Bad Omens fandom, especially on Twitter and Reddit, is a weird place right now, as you have a mix of the OG fans, combined with the TikTok influx, and you know, the normal fans who just enjoy the music included within it too. They all seem to be battling against each other non-stop, and again, it just kind of detracts attention from the band that they're meant to be supporting. So, what's next for Bad Omens? Well, the grind doesn't stop, considering they're touring pretty much the whole of May to June, and then they top the year off in September by taking part in the absolutely stacked Blue Ridge Rock Festival in September. But the most exciting part, it sounds like they've finally found their unique sound and are comfortable in expressing it, so we can expect more experimental bangers on the way. And while you're here, if you enjoyed this video, you should check out this video, where I discuss the darker side of Lorna Shore you might not know about.